Hello everybody, Rokimakshin here, and welcome to the Week 2 team preview for the Vortex Draft League. This week we will be fighting someone who I can actually say the name of this time, and we'll be fighting Tom. Tom here has Gouging Fire, Scizor, Weavile, Azumarill, Sandy Shocks, as not as one of his Terra Captains, Arboliva as one of his Terra Captains, rocking Grass, Water, Fairy, Okidogi, Galarian Articuno as his other Terra Captain, rocking Psychic, Flying, and Fighting, Porygon 2, and Glimmet. Looking at his team, it is incredibly scary. However, there is one thing that I will be pointing out before we do get into like the entire team preview for this. If we go down to my team here, there are 3 changes. I FA'd 3 Pokemon. I FA'd the Meowstic, I FA'd the Mamoswine, and I FA'd Darkrai. As much as I didn't want to FA Darkrai, one of the other people who FA'd their Chi-Yu, I'm picking that up. Chi-Yu is such a good Pokemon. It is so powerful, and I would really like that over Darkrai, so I took that. I replaced Mamoswine with Mienshao, kind of being able to do a little bit of that same role, and I replaced Meowstic with Darkspun. I kind of needed a Fairy type. And Darkspun was a cheap option and one who I actually think is pretty good. And especially into this matchup, where if we go back over to Tom's team here, Darkspun walls Gouging Fire completely. And that is absolutely insane because Darkspun's ability of Well-Baked Body walls both of Gouging Fire stabs. If it's running Iron Head, well, you know what? Hold on. Let's just take a look at our team preview here. We're rocking Chi-Yu, Jolteon, Corviknight, Ogerpon, Cornerstone, Darkspun, and Toxapex. If Gouging Fire has Earthquake, then, Darkspun can take the hits pretty nicely and be able to deal with it pretty nicely. If it's got Iron Head for the Darkspun, then Toxapex just completely walls it. So it's really going to depend on, what the Gouging Fire is going to be running and just how we're going to have to be playing against it. But let's get into the team itself as well as their sets that we'll be rocking this week. We're going to start things off, of course, with Chi-Yu, rocking the Charcoal with the moves Overheat, Dark Pulse, Flamethrower, Flame Charge. I just want this thing to come in and hit super duper hard, but Chi-Yu's probably not going to be able to come in until the late game, until it can end up just cleaning up throughout the entire rest of the game and make sure that it can pick up those KOs. We are running max special attack, max speed, and making sure that we can pick up those KOs with the Beads of Ruins ability. It is going to hit so hard. Being able to maybe just fire off an Overheat and maybe just go into one of my more defensive mons. Next up is Jolteon, running basically the exact same set as last week. Discharge, Volt Switch, Terra Ice, Terra Blast, and Alluring Voice, running the heavy-duty boots. Just being able to get in, pivot, do some good damage, get out, and be able to play around it very well. Next up is Corviknight. This is a specially defensive Corviknight, max HP, max special defense. This thing is going to be meant to wall the Galarian Articuno, as without Corviknight, I really don't have an answer for it. Drillpeck, U-Turn, Roost, Defog, fairly standard set. I am going to be changing the ability from Unnerve to Pressure. I'm going to be making sure that that is done before the battle. Pressure is going to be very useful against the Scizor if the Scizor wants to try and defog away the hazards that I'm going to be bringing. And I'm going to be bringing a good amount of hazards. Speaking of, let's go to our first hazard mon here, Ogerpon Cornerstone. Ivy Cudgel, U-Turn, Knockoff, and Spikes. This is going to be an aggressive spiker. And probably might end up being our dedicated lead for this match. Is really going to depend on what they decide to bring. And just make sure that, we can get in, drop some spikes, maybe knock off U-Turn out safely so that we can keep the sturdy intact. And if I have to defog away my spikes, that's going to be fine because it can happen. But Ogerpon's going to be here doing some good damage, laying down those spikes. His only defogger, as far as I know, is the Scizor, because I don't think that he'll be running a defog Galarian Articuno. Then, our answer for the Gouging Fire is Darkspun, Body Press, Protect, yawn, wish. This thing can come in on Gouging Fire, yawn it, force it out into like, so that I can get into a pretty good position. Body Press is going to deal some really good damage, being at max HP, max defense. If I do come in on a fire move, Body Press is going to hit super hard because of that defense boost. And so we'll be able to just hit super duper hard. And then lastly is my other form of hazards, Toxapex with Toxic Spikes. Now again, Scissor's his only defogger, and he can bring Ogie Dogie to be able to absorb the Toxic Spikes. That is an option that he does have. However, I don't know if he's really going to bring Ogie Dogie because I have Corviknight and I have Latios' options. So Latios is just going to destroy it, and Corviknight is just going to wall it out all day. So I don't know if he's going to bring it because I have those options. He might, just in case, like, I'm running the Toxic Spikes, but if he doesn't bring it, his only way to be able to get rid of the Toxic Spikes then, because I'm pretty sure that he's going to sack off Glimmet if he brings it really early, and thus Toxapex can absorb those Toxic Spikes, is he's going to have to defog with Scizor. So if he doesn't have Ogie Dogie, we can try and get him into a very disadvantaged position, having to defog with Scizor, lose a ton of momentum, and maybe be able to get myself into a good position with all the momentum that I have this week. With Jolteon, Corviknight, and Ogerpon being able to just turn into one of my heavy hitters or one of my more defensive mons, depending on the situation. Again, for Corviknight here, though, pointing out that, negative speed nature, again, being able to slow turn is going to be super important. As usual, I do like the slow turns. I don't know if I'm going to be out-slowing any of his mons, because this is still a max speed Corviknight. I do believe, actually, anyway. Because I caught this one in the wild, and I think I bottle capped it with the gold one. Yes. I shouldn't have done that. I wanted to keep as little speed as possible, but I ran out of bottle caps, unfortunately. But this is a Corviknight that I caught out in the wild. It's a shiny one. It's so nice and pretty. Which is why, I had to Hyper Train literally everything. Like, look at this. It had best special attack. And I'm like, really? Really? It's unfortunate. But, like, when you're raising your own mons, it's something that just happens. But either way, we are going to just be rocking and rolling. So this should hopefully be a pretty good week. We're going to hopefully get another W this week. I'm pretty confident in the team. I'm pretty confident in the prep that I have. And because of Pressure Corviknight as well, there's actually a chance that with playing smart, Power Point consumption can be a win condition this week. I don't know if it's going to pop up, but that's something that I do need to keep in the back of my mind, just being like, Power Point consumption might win me the game. So I'm going to be trying to max out as many of my moves as possible between now and the battle itself. I'm working pretty hard on that. I do have a good amount of in-game funds for it, and I'm going to just be doing my best, both in-game and out-of-game. Just trying to make sure that I'm playing my best, I'm building the best I can, and I hope that you will join me tomorrow for the battle, and I hope that we get that W, and I hope that you also all have a fantastic day. Have yourselves a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow.